Okay, so I was not going to do this. I had no plans to do this, no plans to talk about All Out from last night. I was just going to watch the show, enjoy the show, and then just go about my business. I love doing the Dynamite reviews now. They're really fun to do first thing in the morning. Helps get me energized for Thursday mornings. But just so much shit happened. And there's so much shit that people are talking about. And I'm mad. And I need to have a talk with AEW. Because AEW is waiting for my opinion on the whole matter. You know. So, I'm going to say my piece. And, again, having achieved my goal of being one of the lowest rated wrestling review shows on YouTube. So, yay me. I'll say my piece and no one will care, but I'll feel better because I will have gotten it out. So let's talk about a couple things. So the first thing we got to talk about is the show itself. All Out was a below average show. I'm going to say that All Out, if I had to rate it, if I was doing my regular movie reviews and was going to give it a rating, I'd probably rate it about a C+. And it's a C+ for one very simple, very specific reason. It's too goddamn long. 15 fucking matches. And I understand why that is. I get why they do it. They only do, 4 pay-per-views a year? Revolution, Full Gear, All Out, and All In. I think that's all they do. And that's fine. I actually really like the 4 pay-per-view format. So they're trying to make their pay-per-views a really big event and trying to squeeze as much onto them as possible, trying to get as much talent involved as possible. So I respect the choice and why they do it, but the problem is it's not working. The biggest complaint most people have about AEW pay-per-views is that they're too damn long. And you could I love the movies, but I can't, and maybe on one day I can go and do 3 movies in a day, but you need a break. You need to breathe, right? And it just, like, the only thing I can think of to do I would not go this route, but it's the only solution I can think of, is to do like WWE did with WrestleMania and split each pay-per-view into 2 nights. Do a Saturday night and a Sunday night. I know that's ridiculous, and I don't know how you make that actually work, so it's probably the stupidest suggestion anybody's ever had. But, I mean, if you're going to have that many matches, that's the only thing I can think of to do. And the thing is that most of the matches on the card were pretty decent. I just got bored. I just got tired. I say most of the matches were pretty decent, but there were others. That opening ladder match was atrocious. And I'm not just counting the whole schmoz ending and the goofy ending with, the Joker mask. I mean, because it was there. I understand why they did it in the beginning. It was there to generate buzz for the rest of the night, and it worked. I was looking at like 2 live streams, and all anybody was talking about through the entire show was who's the Joker. From serious debates to like throwing out, it's Vince McMahon, it's, all these, it's David Arquette, so it worked. But the match itself up until the end was fucking atrocious. The timing was off all over the place. I don't know what Claudio Castagnoli was trying to do, lifting the ladder. I don't get what any of that. Dante Martin came in and he did some move and the ladder tipped over behind him and caught him in the back of the head. It was just, oh my God, it was just all over the place. I think this pay-per-view also went a long way to prove that there are a couple of teams and a couple of folks that are incredibly over, and AEW needs to pull a trigger on them right now, or they're going to lose that momentum. I think we all knew, a lot of people, I was looking at the live chat, and a lot of people were upset that the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega won the Trios title. I'm not, because I knew that was going to happen. That's the whole reason those belts were invented, folks. If you didn't think they were going to win, then, you know, I was holding out hope that maybe they would have gone the other way because the Dark Order needed the win more. But I was not surprised when it happened. You know, but I think Alex Reynolds and John Silver, they fucking killed it in that match. They were doing amazing and just reminding everybody that they are really, really good and they need a push. The Dark Order has been stagnant for so long and they've lost members, people have left the company, and you know, they're just an afterthought. And they need that revitalization. And I think these two guys either need to break away from them or they need to win the title and, you know, and go on. The Acclaimed had the audience in the palm of their hand. And, oh, the audience was pissed when they didn't win. Oh, I felt sorry for Swerve and Keith Lee because, like, I would not want to be out there with them getting that big of a reaction and then beat them. Like, the audience is clearly on the Acclaimed side and want the Acclaimed to make that next jump. So you've got two teams here in the Dark Order and the Acclaimed who I think are ready. They are ready. And you need to pull the trigger, and you need to do it now, or you're going to have a private party situation where you had two guys who were primed for a big push and primed for big things, and they've fallen backwards into mediocrity. So, you know, the rest of the pay-per-view was okay. Of course, you know, punctuated by, as I predicted, you know, CM Punk won the match. You know, well, big surprise there. And then MJF made his return as predicted, though I didn't predict the way that it went down, but I did predict he would win the ladder match and then challenge Punk. And that is, in fact, what happened. So, big reactions there. But then we get into the real crux of the issue. It's so sad to me that the real talking points about this pay-per-view have nothing to do with the pay-per-view. So as you've probably heard is, and again, I try to avoid the backstage stuff, but the backstage stuff is the only reason I'm making this video, so I'm actually part of the problem, so I acknowledge that. So after the pay-per-view, Tony Khan hosts one of his media scrums, which he loves doing, and the first guy out is Punk, and Punk just goes off. Just on rants about Colt Cabana, about Hangman Adam Page, about the EVPs, meaning the Young Bucks, and Kenny Omega, and is just filleting everybody within arm's reach. And look, I've given my opinion on Punk, but I'll give it again. The man is a great wrestler. The man is a great wrestler. He's a huge draw. He is the best on the mic. He is all those things, which makes this even harder when I have to acknowledge that the man is just a shithead. You cannot, and here's the reason why, and you can kind of get into it, and I also agree with the idea that, you know, two sides to every story. Everybody's a little at fault here, and, you know, everybody just kind of needs to stop with the fourth grade politics of, well, he said it first, well, he said this, so I said this. For a man who openly criticizes Hangman Page for going into business for himself, Punk sure has no fucking problem doing that on a daily basis. And you could tell from looking at Tony Khan sitting next to him that Tony Khan was not comfortable with any of this. But here's, you know, I'll get into Tony here in a second. And Punk is just running all these guys down, and essentially, he didn't say this exactly, but essentially saying he wants AEW remade in his image because everybody else there is fucking stupid. And I said it before, I'll say it again. For a man who has spent so much time criticizing Hulk Hogan and The Rock, and in some cases I will believe justifiably so, I'm not saying that he didn't have legit arguments, he sure has no problem doing exactly what they did. Coming into a company, stomping on all the younger guys, shitting on everybody, and demanding that everything be catered to his whims. And you know what, Punk? I know that you made your career out of being, the voice of the voiceless, and I'm not going to sit down and you're always going to know what I think, and I get that. But there comes a time in a man's life, and judging from the amount of gray in your beard and in your hair, I think you've reached that time of life where a man has to stop acting like a child. And acknowledge that you are in there with younger guys. So, for example, and I don't know the full extent of what went on. I don't know what all happened. I'm simply giving an example here. So, for example, if a younger talent goes out into the ring to hype a program and says something you disagree with, then perhaps the better thing to do would be to pull him aside as a gentleman, as an older wrestler, as a more experienced personality, and say, hey, I didn't really appreciate that. Here's why. Let me explain this to you. Of just kind of why I didn't appreciate that and why that doesn't work for me. So explain it to this young man. Maybe try to be a mentor. One thing that they have shown until you got there, essentially, is that these younger guys are very eager and willing to listen to the more experienced people on the roster. Paul White has said that. Mark Henry has said that. When Tully Blanchard was there, he said that. Arn Anderson has said that. They have no problem listening to people and learning. But from what it seems, you have no interest in teaching. You want everybody to get down on their knees and kiss your ass. And when someone doesn't, and as opposed to going to them and saying, hey, kid, here's why that upset me, like an adult, even take it out of the wrestling ring as a fucking adult, you decide to do exactly the same thing that he did and then say, I didn't want to stoop to his level. You fucking did that. You fucking did that. At some point in a man's life, you have to learn to be a bigger man, especially when you realize you are dealing with younger kids, because you were that at one point. And as I recall, the older generation had a bit of the same problem with you. So instead of learning from that and trying to be a better veteran, you just make the same mistake and expect everyone to kiss your ass and call it ice cream. Again, I'm not saying that what Hangman... quite frankly, I don't even remember what Hangman Page did, to be completely honest. I completely blanked it. It was so little of a blip on mine, a lot of people's radar, that nobody gave a shit. But you had to come out and make it a thing now. Then you have the audacity to sit there in front of the boss, because obviously the boss couldn't be any more in your pocket if he had car keys snagged on his big toe from where you just pulled him out, and you publicly badmouth the EVPs of your company. In what other line of work can you do that? In what other business can you go out and publicly bash your bosses? And not to saying, well, I don't agree with this decision, or, if it had been me, I would have done things a little differently, or things of that nature. You hear that a lot. But to go on in a thing and say, these people are tripping over their dicks, they can't manage a target, and all of this, that, and the other thing, with the boss sitting there. And then apparently, from what I understand, shortly thereafter, as the scrum was going on, after Punk was done talking, apparently there was a altercation with Punk and the Bucks and Omega and maybe Hangman. I don't know. But so much so that security had to be called. I love AEW. I really do. And I know some people, I was looking at comments on some of these reports when I was listening to them this morning, and a lot of people are like, oh, this is great. You know, it's wall-to-wall AEW coverage. You know, it's everything you could want because, you know, they're being talked about and they're dominating and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. This is not the publicity you want. This is not the publicity you want in any way, shape, or form. And if you think it is, then clearly you have never been backstage at any type of performance or job where people are at each other's throats. It is not a good environment. And yes, maybe it's entertaining to the reality show junkies out there, but to the people who have to work in that situation and live in that situation, it is not. So I am genuinely concerned right now. I am genuinely concerned as an AEW fan, because from the very beginning, AEW has drawn comparisons to WCW. That has been its thing. And at first they were genuinely positive comparisons. Now we're at a point, we have slowly morphed into the point where we are into the bad comparisons. You are into a point where Tony Khan finds himself in the exact same situation that the higher-ups of WCW did back in the 90s. You have, on one side, you have a guy who is making you money and is a reliable hand in the ring. You can't deny that. You can't even, I don't think you can even necessarily say that about Hogan back in the day, but you could guarantee he was going to draw money, he was going to draw heat, he was going to draw all these things. But he is a backstage cancer. And again, I don't know everything that's going on, and it's very possible that Mr. Punk is 100% in the right here, but I can't help but notice all of this backstage drama started when he showed up. You never heard much about any of this until he arrived, and now it's non-stop. It's not to say that it didn't happen, but it's to say that it seems to be happening a lot more. So on the one side, you've got him, and on the other side, you've got the three guys who helped build your company. They are partners in the company. They are, I don't know if they're actually technically partners, but they are executives in the company who you started the company with. And I don't envy Tony Khan his position right now, because he's the guy really in the middle. But it's time, I saw this comment, and I do agree, it's time that Tony Khan steps up and be a boss. He wants to be everybody's friend. He wants to be, everybody's dude bro. And that's fine. But it is now time to step up and be a boss. And it's easy for everyone else, myself included, to, armchair quarterback this and say, well, I would do this and I would do this. It's very easy to do that. It is. But if you want some advice, and again, easy to say, hard to do. I've been in similar situations, not with multi-million-dollar companies. So, obviously I don't have that experience in this. But I've been in, having to deal with backstage egos before. I've been one. But what needs to happen is exactly what happened in situations that I was in, wherein the boss, the producer, the director, whatever, sits both people down and says, I'm tired of this shit. You stop acting like a 2-year-old. You guys stop, taking pot shots at everybody on social media. And all y'all grow the fuck up and act like professionals. And if you can't do that, then somebody needs to leave. And if that's the case, I'm sorry, it's Punk. For me, it's Punk. If you fire or allow to leave the 3 EVPs that have built your company in favor of one fucking guy, I don't care how much of a draw he is. They were doing fine before he got there. Yeah, they weren't drawing millions of dollars, and yes, he put eyes on the company. But they had a strong fan base. They were putting on solid shows. They were doing well for a young company. They were doing just fine without his ass. But I think if you allow this to cause Omega and the Bucks to leave, buddy, you might as well just close up shop. You're fucked. You can't build a company on one guy like Punk who has more mood swings than somebody who has a lot of mood swings. I don't know. And who, quite frankly, doesn't have that many years left in the tank. You can't be that stupid. I know that you want to make money, and I know that you love that you got him, and I know that, you think he's your dude bro and your best friend and all that, but he is poisoning your business. So either he needs to learn how to play with others, which has never been CM Punk's his strong suit. So either he needs to learn to play with others, or you need to pack his ticket. You need to punch his ticket. Sorry. Maybe I'm oversimplifying, and maybe, I don't have all the facts. There could be elements to this that I am not fully understanding. Matter of fact, there most likely are. I can't imagine I have all the facts based on a couple podcasts I listened to this morning. I can't believe that I've got all the information. So you never know. I could be 100% wrong on this. But just from what it looks like to me at this stage of the game, Punk is causing a cancer. He is the new NWO. He is the new Hollywood Hogan. It's all about him, and I think that's the biggest thing. I'm sorry, this video is running long, and I know I'm going around in circles, but that's the biggest thing that I keep coming back to. When AEW started, it was this whole thing of, we're a team. We're a team. We want to do this together. We're a family. And there was always this feeling of pulling together and everybody being happy about the product and really working hard and making the best choices to make the product, to put the company first. I don't get that from Punk. I never have. It's never about the company. It's about him. It is all about him. And I don't see that changing. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he has the ability to see sense and grow up, but I don't see it happening. And again, I'm not absolving the Bucks and Omega of their immaturity, because they are fairly immature from what I understand. I'm not absolving them of any of their part in this, but I'm saying in the bigger picture, they are more team players than he is. And as illustrated by the fact that he went in front of the media and did exactly what he said he was going to do. So that's my take. And again, I'm mad that this review, and this is true of so many of the other responses I've seen this morning. I'm very sorry that this review of the pay-per-view has almost nothing to do with the pay-per-view. That is not how this should be working. And I've heard all these comparisons. Oh, well, backstage drama, like, people are like, look at Sean and Brett. Look at Sean and Brett. Yeah, look at Sean and Brett. What happened to Sean and Brett? What happened there? Yeah, great drama, but one of the biggest names and one of the guys who sacrificed for your company was forced out for a cocky prick who was out for himself. So there you go. Now, of course, you could also point out that when that happened, the ratings shot up and, you ended up winning the Monday Night War, but, but yeah. So I can see the argument. So yeah, that's my thoughts. That's my thoughts on All Out. A lot of it. I'm sorry this video ran long. Of course, that's what I said when I started Drive Home Reviews was, I'm going to keep these videos short. Yeah, I haven't done that yet. But yeah, so there you are. There are my thoughts. Thanks for listening to me rant. Have a good rest of your day and take care. And as always, drive safe, and I will see you at the movies.